Most of the students and parents believe that success is about working hard and studying more. So when you score less marks, the only advice you get is to study more, solve more questions, appear in more tests, slug more. But that may not be always true. Results of a survey said that most of the students lose 15 to 20% of the marks, not because they have not given input or not because they do not have knowledge, but because of inability to convert that knowledge or input into output. So for you to achieve success in competitive examinations, apart from giving input, what is equally important is that to what extent you are able to convert that input into output. But in spite of this, it has been seen that most of the students still spend 99% of their energy and time in gaining more and more knowledge, solving more and more questions, and that too at the expense of producing output. Good afternoon, boys and girls. This is Avinash Agarwal, your study guide in the journey of scoring more marks, cracking exams, and achieving your goals. The topic of today's session is extremely powerful, extremely important, and extremely relevant since most of the exams are coming close. So today we are going to talk about the importance of producing output, or what are the basic things or what are the basic steps we should initiate so as to convert our input into output, or how do we maximize our output. Since I said that apart from gaining knowledge or apart from gaining input, what is equally important is that to what extent you are able to convert that input into output. The first step to improve your output is to start measuring and monitoring your output. And there cannot be a better tool other than regular testing, with the help of which you not only measure your output, but a test also provides you answer as to what are the basic steps which you should initiate so as to convert your input into output. So testing is a very, very important and integral part of any preparation. Testing is the most important tool with the help of which you can monitor, measure and improve your output. Now, whenever you're writing a test, what are the basic things which you should monitor in a test? That is what we would talk about next. So there are three S which are extremely important whenever you're talking about output. The first S is a speed. Since in competitive examinations, it is not important that whether you know a question or not, it is not important whether you can solve a question or not, but what is important is that can you solve the question faster than others or not. So actually it is nothing but a race against time. In most of the competitive examinations, you don't even get 1 minute to answer a question. So the first factor which is extremely important for you to measure and monitor is the speed. Speed is the average time you take to solve a question. Let's assume that you're writing a test which is of 3 hours duration and there are 200 questions in the test, and in those 3 hours you are able to solve 180 questions. Then your speed is total time divided by total number of questions attempted. So in this case, 180 by 180, that means your average speed of solving a question is approximately 1 minute per question. I will share with you a very interesting study. This was a couple of years back. We were running testing program. We were running a national level testing program in more than 15 cities of the country, and we suddenly realized average speed of solving a question of the students of Allahabad improved over 5 to 6 tests. So when we spoke to the coordinator and the students that what is that you were doing so as to improve your speed, the students said that they were actually not doing anything, and the invigilator or the testing coordinator said that the only thing which they did in the last 5 or 6 tests is that after every test they asked the student to calculate their average speed and to monitor with the help of a sheet. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the first and the most important step to improve your output or to improve your speed is to start measuring and monitoring it. When you start measuring and monitoring anything, your mind becomes conscious and you yourself set up a benchmark that this was my speed, I have to take it to this level, I have to further improve my speed. And now the second factor apart from speed, which is equally important for you to improve your output, is the strike rate. Now strike rate is the accuracy level or the consistency level. Now since most of the competitive examination has negative marking, so a good speed with a low strike rate is of no use because you will lose a lot of marks because of negative marking. At the same point of time, a good strike rate with low speed is also of no use. So what ideally is required is that you have to actually strike a right balance between speed and strike rate. Now in our childhood, all of us have heard the lesson slow and steady wins the race. All of us have heard the story of a rabbit and a tortoise. So the speed of the rabbit was fast, but tortoise was slow and consistent. So the rabbit sees that he cannot see the tortoise, so he takes rest and he sleeps, and then when he wakes up he realizes that the tortoise has won the race. So the actual message which this story taught us was that slow and steady wins the race. But come to 2021, you cannot expect your competitor to sleep for 2-3 months. So what you require in order to compete and in order to succeed in competitive examination is the speed of a rabbit and consistency and regularity of a tortoise. So this is what is required actually to you to succeed in 2021. And the parameter with the help of which you can measure both speed and strike rate is what we call as effective average speed. Now, what is effective average speed? Now, effective average speed is the time you take to solve a question correctly. Now, let's go back to the example which I just took. That, for example, if you were writing a 3-hour test which consisted of 200 questions, you attempted 180 questions. So your speed was total time, which was 180 divided by total number of questions attempted. That was 180 by 180 is equal to 1 minute or 60 seconds. Now, effective average speed is the time you take to solve one question correctly. And out of 180 questions, let's assume that you attempted 160 questions were correct and 20 questions were wrong. So in this case, your effective average speed would be 180 divided by 160, which would be slightly more than a minute. So effective average speed is the parameter which takes both speed and strike rate into consideration, and it gives you combined average speed. So it strikes the right balance between both speed and strike rate. Now, once you reach the peak of your speed and strike rate, the third factor comes into play, which is called selection. Selection means what to do and what not to do. Selection is basically about test taking strategy as to how you should attempt a paper, or what are the basic things which you should keep in mind whenever you are attempting a paper. So whenever I talk about selection of questions, it reminds me of an incident that I was doing a counseling session wherein a student raised his hand and he asked a question, "Sir, I have reached the peak of my speed and I have reached the peak of my strike rate." Because you can maximize or you can optimize the speed and strike rate to a certain level. You cannot always keep on increasing it. Beyond a certain limit, it becomes very difficult to improve your speed and to improve your strike rate. So the student said, "Sir, I have reached the maximum, or I have reached the maximum of my speed and strike rate, but my score is still less. What is that I should do so as to further improve my net score?" And that is when selection of question comes in mind. As I said, that selection of question really means what to do and what not to do. And for us to understand selection of questions, let's understand what goes in the mind of an examiner when he's setting up a paper. Or in other words, you see most of the competitive examination, they contain 3 types of question. One is an easy question which can be solved in, say, let's say 30-40 seconds. Another is an average kind of a question which requires little bit of application or little bit of calculation, can be solved in 60 to 70 to 75 seconds. The third question is a typical kind of a question which some students call a difficult question. I call that question a different question. Now, these are the questions which have a catch, which have a funda, which have a trick. If you are able to get hold of the catch, funda and trick, you would be able to solve the question quickly. If you do not get hold of the trick or the catch in the question, you will get entangled in the question and you can end up spending 5 minutes or even 10 minutes in doing that question. So this question is called typically speed breaker kind of a question. So what I mean by selection of questions is that whenever you are attempting a paper, you have to consciously ensure that you solve maximum of easy and average question, and whenever you face these difficult kind of a question or these speed breaker kind of a question, you typically skip them and you leave them for the last round. Otherwise, also in most of the competitive examinations, around 20 to 25% of the questions are easy, 60% of the questions are average, and around 15 to 20% of the questions are these speed breaker kind of a question. So in other words, also if your focus is on easy and average question and your strategy, and with the help of your strategy you are able to solve maximum number of easy and average question and skip those tricky or difficult kind of a question, you can still get selected. So because most of the competitive examinations have cutoff which varies from 70% plus minus 5% here and there. So what I'm trying to say through selection of questions is that selection of question means what to do and what not to do, and this is based upon examiner's mind of setting a paper, that this is what comes to the mind of the examiner when he's setting a paper. Always keep in mind that whenever you are attempting a paper, what percentage of easy and average question you are able to solve decides that whether you will get selected or not, or whether you will come in the merit list or not, and what percentage of these difficult or different or speed breaker kind of question you are able to solve decides that what rank would you get. And as I suggested and as I discussed, that ideally the strategy should be that we should focus on easy and average question in the first round, and we should leave speed breaker kind of a question in the second round or in the final round if we have time. There can be many strategies. One of the topper I was speaking to, he gave me a very, very interesting suggestion. He said that whenever he gets stuck in a question, and especially if the question is a numerical kind of a question, what he does is that whatever calculation he has done of that question, he puts that in a box and writes the question number on the top of the box. Now, with the help of this small tip, when he is coming to that question at the end of in the last round, he doesn't have to essentially do the entire calculation. He remembers that he has done the calculation in a box and question number is written on the top of the box. So he, rather than starting the question from scratch, he has done some basic work, and that would also further help you in solving more questions. So there are three factors which you should measure and monitor very, very closely whenever we are talking about improving the output. The first is the speed. The second one is the strike rate. As I just said, that you need an optimum balance between speed and strike rate. So effective average speed is a factor which takes speed and strike rate into the consideration. Once you reach the peak of your speed and strike rate, then the third factor, which is extremely important, and that is what most of the students miss out, is selection of question. That is what to do and what not to do. And as I suggested, and as I discussed, and as I shared with you, your ideal strategy should be that you should leave these difficult or different or speed bracket kind of a question in the end of the round. Another topper I spoke to, he also shared with me very interesting. He said that in order to ensure that you don't get stuck in these different or difficult kind of a question, what you do is that you keep a maximum time limit, that beyond this, if a question is taking, you will skip that question. Because generally what happens is that if you get stuck in a question and you don't realize, and when you realize, you find out that you have taken 15 minutes to solve the question and still you have not been able to solve it. So you are already, आप बहुत पीछे already छूट चुके हैं. So what makes more sense, and that is what he topper suggested, is that he said that he typically allots maximum time given to a question is 4 minutes. If he is able to solve the question in 4 minutes, that is fine. If he is not able to solve the question in 4 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever time you set for yourself, you leave that question, you put a mark, you put the calculation in the box, and you put a mark that if I will get back to this question in the final round, if at all I get the time. So that's it for this session. I just wanted to emphasize upon the fact that apart from input, what is extremely important, or probably what is more important, is that to what extent you are able to convert this input into output. So start measuring these three factors: speed, strike rate, and selection of questions, and ensure that each test should tell you where you are, where you have to be, what is the gap, which subject the gap is maximum, and how exactly you can fill up that gap. Thank you, bye-bye, and all the best.